Right, okay guys, welcome to another video. In this series, I basically look at a computer magazine, I flick through and I just talk. That's about it, and I play some nice music. I've got to say, all the music that you can hear in the background is courtesy of my mate Mark Stoneham, and I'll put a wee link down below to Mark's SoundCloud. So thanks to Mark for the music. So this week I'm taking a look at computer and video games. More specifically, issue number 50 I think it is, and it cost 95 pence and it came out in December 1985. You'll see there on the cover, win a genuine Commando arcade machine. Wow, that's not a bad prize at all. Free inside the Book of Adventure Olympic Star Track Test Sports Games. Win a Meteor Pinball, win our Treasure Trove, and win Fab Thunderbirds Games Highway Encounter Mapped. So all it seems to do is, it doesn't actually tell you what's in it, it just tells you about the competitions. So anyway, let's just jump straight in and see if it's any good or not. Right, okay, page 1 and 2, you've got an advert for Commando now. I don't know why, for some strange reason, Adobe Acrobat things showing page 2 absolutely tiny. Don't know what's going on there. So yeah, it's an advert for Commando. Whoops, a daisy, I've just jumped up to page 1 again. So yeah, it looks like a kind of watercolour picture. Very nice. Right, what have we got here? Features, hot shots, charts, ideas central, Commando competition, pinball prize, highway encounter map, Right, this issue we've had some neat prizes to give away to the growing number of C&VG addicts in the past, but this issue we've gone completely OTT on the competition front. Thanks to Elite, we've got a genuine Commando arcade machine to give away. Ooh, nice, very nice prize. Yeah, and that's not all. PSS, the people who brought you the hottest computer pinball game around for the Spectrum and Amstrad, have come up with a real pinball machine for the winner. Oh, that's nice prizes, by the way. I would love to know who actually won these and if they've still got them. I bet you they don't. I bet you they've been scrapped long time ago. Goonies is going to be one of the big movies this Christmas, and you could win tickets to go and see it. Try to see what game that is. Micro Plus. I don't know what game that is. It's definitely in the Spectrum anyway. I'm not sure what the game is. Don't know. And there's Eye of the Mask. So editor Tim Metcalf, heard of him. Paul Botton, Leslie Walker. I'm not familiar with Keith Campbell yet. He did all the adventure side of things. Claire Edgley, she was the voice in Starglider. That's a true fact. There's a young looking Mel Gibson beyond Thunderdome. Okay, let's move on. Right, let's see, how would you like to be blasted out of the sky by anti-aircraft guns? Perhaps you prefer to be vaporised with a Thargoid starship or eaten for breakfast by mutant rats. I'm assuming, yeah, there you go. Trying to play all the games you can on the Sinclair Spectrum could kill you about 5,000 times. I think there was quite a bit more than 5,000 games, although this was 1985, so that was a Spectrum Plus. Right, okay, let's have a look at the news. Here are a couple of screenshots from an exciting new, totally interactive graphic adventure movie seen to be released by Ariolasoft called Wild West. I'm trying to think. I mean, the screenshots are quite small. I can't actually recall ever actually seen that before, you know that. Following hot on the heels of Racing Destruction Set, which is a great game by the way, Activision are soon to release their own racing game with a construction set called Fast Tracks. Oh, I remember that. It was, you know what, it looked really nice, it looked lovely, but there was virtually no gameplay to it at all. It was kind of like, I don't know, it was kind of like a Skeletrix game. And now I know Racing Destruction Set is similar, but Racing Destruction Set, it was all about trying to keep the car on the road. It was trying not to kind of get it flipped over, taking ramps at the right speed. Fast Tracks was just a bit pants. It looked really nice, but well, I wasn't a fan of it at all. The game is based on the original Skeletrix. There you go, slot car concept where you can build up any shape track you like, then racing it against your friends, or in this case, the computer. After loading, the player is asked to select between racing on one of the preset tracks that come with the programmer design a new one. There's not any screenshots of it. Electric Dreams are also resurrecting Automata's innovative, I can't even say it properly, Deus Ex Machina. Hopefully Lacosa I've said that correctly. Deus features a proper audio soundtrack on a tape which you play in sync with the game. Now that game has actually been released. It came out in Steam a few years ago, I think. British Telecom have proved to be real stick in the muds with their mega interactive adventure. Technical problems are delaying the launch of the first nationwide multi-user dungeon game. The good news for existing subscribers is that it will still be guaranteed free credit for the trial period. So I'm assuming that was going to be using the sort of like the basic internet type thing. This here is that not what's that game by English Software? That's not Fast Tracks. Now that looks like, what's it called? I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, right, let's see who's been sleeping in my computer. Disturbing facts about little people actually living inside your computers. Now, I remember getting this. I mean, Zap gave it a massive review. They rated it. I can't remember if it got a Zap Gold medal, but it was absolutely revolutionary. And you know, I bought it in disc, and it was so exciting loading it up for the first time. You got this wee character. And every time you loaded it, you know, if you could basically restart it, basically everybody that owned the game had a different character. It was really, really good. What I will need to do is do a little, not a review so much of it, but just revisit it and just see how does it stand up today. Yeah, it was an amazing game. You know, when you consider it was written in like 64k memory, just incredible. Arcade Hall of Fame. So yeah, this was a compilation. Blue Max, Raid, which is what was basically Raid over Moscow, but they changed the name to try and be kind of friendly. Flak, Rocco. Rocco was a really poor boxing game. Hunchback 2. Don't really remember that much at all. Yeah, that's just telling you more about the different things that you can do in little computer people. What's that? Here we print for the first time anywhere extracts from the diary of a little computer person. Right, we don't really want to read about that, if that's okay. The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole from Mosaic headlines the new C64 Christmas Compendium pack, which sells for £199. The compendium comprises the Commodore 64, a 1530 dataset, Music Maker, Designer Pencil from Activision, The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole, and a copy of the best-selling book. Not a bad price though, $199 for a C64 plus tape deck. What's that? For those first timers who want a complete system immediately, Commodore is packaging together for Christmas a Commodore 64 1541 disc drive and 2 top games for $299. That's not bad, £100 for that. I can't remember how much the disc drive was when it first came out. It was damned expensive. Oh god, Basildon Bond, dearie me. Now, if you think the TV is crap now, my goodness, some of the crap that we had to watch back in the 80s. Yeah, this guy here, Russ Abbott, you've probably, if you're below 30 years old, you've probably never even heard of him. He was a comedian, in inverted commas, back then, and he took on the part of, I don't know, Basildon Bond. Yeah, it was supposed to be Basildon Bond, I think. Was that not a type of writing paper? I think it was. And this was his sort of play on it. It's kind of like a poor man's, if you can even say that, Johnny English, Round Atkinson, basically based on sort of James Bond, but 10 times worse. Absolutely crap. The Commodore 128, when you look at the facts, they do seem to weigh rather heavily in our favour. When you add it up, the Commodore 128 is really 3 computers in one. It can run 64K, 128K and CP/M software, giving it the largest range of computer software in the world, making it as efficient in business as it is entertaining at home. That's why Commodore has become the world leader in microcomputers, and why on balance the C64 128 has no equal. Sadly, the 128, it never sold. I mean, I think the problem, I don't know what the problem was. I think there was a lack of computer software, and it doesn't matter how good a system is, if it doesn't have games, then people aren't going to buy it. And that was the problem. The 128. I mean, one of my mates, he had the 128, and he never used it for anything other than running C64 games. So a shame, you know. Really nice machine. I did own one about 3 months ago for about a day. I bought it second hand, but it was a bit faulty, so the guy very kindly took it back again. So let's see, C&VG December software reviews, Tau Ceti. Yeah, it was. I never really got into the game at all. It was a game that, again, I always think of as a Spectrum game. I mean, it had kind of pseudo 3D sort of graphics, but it was way too complicated for me. It did come out in C64. I don't know what the C64 one was like. 3D Grand Prix, Amstrad, Amsoft, just what the Amstrad needed, a really nice Formula 1 racing game. 3D Grand Prix is great graphics, neat scrolling, but lousy sound. Wizardry, I remember that. Yeah, that was. Yeah, it was kind of. Well, I thought it was kind of like the C64's Night Lord. You know, it had sort of like pseudo 3D graphics. And it scores highly there, 9, 9, 9 and 9. It's not a game you really hear people talking about very much. 9.95. I just want to see how much was the Tau Ceti. Interesting, that was 9.95. So yeah, 9.95. So this goes to show people always talk about games as being like £6 or £5 or £7. Well, there you go. This is 1985 and that was £10. So, you know, the next time you complain about a modern, and I've been guilty of doing that by the way, the next time you complain about a modern C64 game coming out and it's like £7, just remember, £9.95 in 1985 is probably the equivalent of about, I don't know, 25 quid. So pound for pound, software is so much cheaper now. Right, watch it was Dynamite Dan. It's a game, well there you go. That's interesting, that's £6.95 and £7.95. Never really got any Dynamite Dan. I mean, I think it did come out in the C64. Again, it's a game that I always think of as being a Spectrum game by Mirrorsoft. The least we say about Mirrorsoft the better. That evil, what's his name, Robin Maxwell? Yeah, Robert Maxwell. Yeah, he stole all his company's pensions and then he decided to drown himself. Git. Fairlight by the Edge. Just like Night Lord will probably be the most common phrase to pass cynical gamers' lips when they view the latest effort from the Edge. Despite comparisons being odious, closer inspection will reveal a level of detail and precision which surpasses anything seen in a Spectrum. Yeah, I must admit, when I saw this on my mate's Spectrum, I was jealous. Graphics 9, sound 2. I'm guessing there wasn't really any sound at all. I did get the C64, but it just played way too slow. Now this one here, Excel, was this not the sequel to, was it Glass? I think it was, I can't remember exactly. I'm sure it looked quite nice. The Goonies, yeah, like I said earlier on, I've never actually seen the Goonies, never seen the film. Wasn't a fan of the computer game. I suppose if I'd maybe seen the film, chances are I might have actually played the computer game, but yeah. Game by Datasoft, them off Bruce Lee. Rock and Wrestle, the first truly three-dimensional combat sports simulation game. Dynamic graphics, state-of-the-art animation. I would take that with a pinch of salt. 1 and 2 player mode, brilliant gameplay, 10 different opponents and complete rock soundtrack. more joystick moves than you imagine possible, over 25, including the atomic drop, aeroplane spin, blah 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 blah. Yeah, call it three-dimensional. Well, I suppose technically it was, because you could move up, down, left and right, so I suppose it was sort of like 3D, whereas other games were 2D, you know, Exploding Fist was purely 2D. Yeah, you couldn't move in and out the screen, but Rock and Wrestle you could, so I suppose they're kind of quite right saying that. Spectrum 895. Glad to see. Oh no, wait a minute. There you go. The Amstrad was 995. Now I was lucky enough to interview Gary Bracey from Ocean. Now I asked Gary, why did C64 games cost more than the Spectrum games, and he told me because we could get away with it. Simple that. There was no other reason other than they could get away with it. He says they kind of thought that people who had a C64 had more money, therefore they would be willing to spend more money in the games, and he says that was it. There was no other reason. It had nothing to do with they took longer. I used to always think, well, technically, you know, the 64 has got what, 50% more or 16k more memory than a Spectrum, so it's going to take longer, so that justifies the extra £1. But Gary says that was nothing to do with it at all. They simply charged more because people bought it. Simple as that. Oops, a daisy. Only the bravest fly Tomahawk. Yeah, I remember my mates, they loved this. They loved this, and this was back in the day when you got a really thick manual with games. You had a big chunky box, you got a big manual. It was great. I never really got into these things. I'm just interested in looking at the prices here. Spectrum, what's that? Tomahawk, $9.95. Fighter Pilot in the Spectrum was $7.95. Fighter Pilot was $9.95. See, that was £2 dearer. That's a lot of money. Or if you wanted to buy it in disc, it was 15 quid. Fighter Pilot on tape was $9.95. So the Spectrum was $7.95. The Amstrad was $8.95, and the Commodore 64 was $9.95. That annoyed me. That did annoy me, you know. But fair enough. Get away with it. Why not? Right, more reviews. Guy in the Hat, BBC Blue Ribbon, £2.50. This game reminded me of Blue Ribbon's Banana Man, which was a weaker version of the same idea. You're the guy in the hat and you stay alive by eating biscuits and dodging. What's that? I can hardly read that. Bicky Bashers. Yeah, okay. When you start, what's it? When you eat a biscuit, the hexagon it was in changes colour. Bashers can't enter these hexagons, and if you do, you vaporise. It's more difficult to play than Banana Man. God, it sounds shit. Anyway, it gets 7 out of 7, and I suppose for £2.50 that's not too bad. Right, sticking with the BBC, we've got darts. Now I can hardly read that because it's black writing against grey, so I'm not even going to attempt. Well, there you go. Well, it might not be what Eric Bristol would expect, but this is an interesting and varied game you'll be returning to. What did it get? 9. How much was that? Again, £2.50. Oh, fair play to Blue Ribbon for bringing out cheap games. Wizard on the C64. Now again, this is something I've mentioned quite a few times. When I think back to magazines, you know, I think back to the 80s, I always imagine these gloriously coloured magazines. This is actually the reality. Most of the pages were black and white. I mean, I know this is a scanned copy, but look at that. I can hardly see that. I'm assuming the original magazine, you could at least have probably made it out, but you know, there was so much black and white back in the 80s in magazines. It's only the very occasional, you know, you had an advert like this, Lord of the Rings. I mean, that's quite a nice picture. Southern Belle, yeah, that was that the sequel to? No, was it Evening Star? What was it called? Southern Belle. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, I think this is the sequel. Oh, there you go. No. So hang on a second. Houston Consultants was certainly on the right track when Southern Belle was released in the Spectrum. Ah, right. Okay, yeah. It came out originally in the Spectrum, and this is the Amstrad version. Graphics 9, sound 8, value 8, and playability 8. Right, oh, okay, that's a very short or small advert for such a big game. Impossible Mission in the Spectrum. They said it couldn't be done, but US Gold have achieved the impossible and converted the Game of the Year onto the Spectrum. Okay, so the amazing speech of the 64 version of Impossible Mission is missing, but everything else is there, including the awesome addictiveness of the original. I'm not a fan of the original game in the C64. I know it's Lakozer's favourite game, or he says it's the best C64 game ever. Technically, I think it's beautiful. I just didn't like it. I just think it's quite a boring game. But what do I know? It's, you know, it's a highly praised game. Yeah, there you go. 10 for value, 10 for playability. And that was only $7.95. Slapshot was released. Right, okay, Slapshot. Yeah, that was ice hockey. Yeah, I'm thinking a slap fight, which is a shoot 'em up. Super Sleuth by Gremlin Graphics. Don't remember that one. I think that only came out in the Spectrum. Gyroscope. Yeah, here's something different. Gyroscope. Now, they brought out this, I think Gyroscope was released, if I might be talking absolute nonsense, I'm sure that was released just before Marble Madness. Now, quite how they got away with releasing a game, which is Marble Madness, I have no idea. You know, I mean, a few of the companies that have, what was the game? Was it Commando? Yeah, Elite brought out Commando, and then just before it, Alligator Software brought out Who Dares Wins, and then Who Dares Wins 2, and I think Elite took out a sort of an injunction and basically stopped them releasing it, because at the end of the day, Elite had paid a lot of money for the license. So you can understand excuse me, you can understand them being pissed off. William Wobbler. I did do a live stream fairly recently on Tony Crowder Software, and I have to say I was disappointed at most of the games. I always thought Tony Crowder was an amazing coder, but I have to say that most of the games that he wrote in the C64, I wasn't a fan of them. And this one just looks bloody awful. It's got massive expanded sprites, but they seem to kind of score fairly well. High Rise Bubble Bus. No idea on that one. Right, what's this? Seconds out for the challenge of the season. This month's mystery micro gamer, and you too could win a super prize. Alright, okay, it's an advert for Ocean Software. Oops. Cliffhanger. Cliffhanger is a game I've hardly played, but it's actually really good. I have played it a couple of times in the live stream, and it's actually a really nice game. Graphically wise, it's not the best, but it's dead original. Super Sleuth, Mad Doctor, Mars Sports, Scooby-Doo. There you go. That's the one I was just talking about. Who Dares Wins. Last month's mystery micro gamer was Ian McCaskill. I don't get that. I have no idea. Mystery micro gamer, right? I've got no idea. This guy Ian McCaskill used to read the weather on BBC. Right, Atari and C64 Blue Max 2001. Playability 4. The original is a great game, I have to say, but not a fan of the second one. Hacker, interesting game. Playability 10. Yeah, I would disagree with that slightly. Was an interesting game, but 10 out of 10. Nah. What's this? Post Haste Software. Yeah, just a year Kung Fu, imagine. Again, there you go. C64 was $8.95. Spectrum, they were always a pound cheaper. Diamond Mine in the BBC. 9 out of 9 playability. Right, Rupert in the Ice Palace. Hey, hang on, did they bring out? Did they? Right, okay, right. So yeah, Rupert and the Toy Maker's Party. That was the original game that came out in the C64. And this was the sequel. Again, it wasn't a game that I really played. It was kind of far too childish for me, but it did have nice graphics. They did use instead of having blocky graphics, they kind of drew a sort of dark outline, which kind of made it look really, really nice. Shadow of the Unicorn, Spectrum Microgen. Don't remember that one at all. Riddler's Den. Just trying to see, what is that? Magnetic Dreams. Ah, was it some sort of real-time RPG type thing, I think, possibly? International Basketball, and I've got to say, that was a great game. I mean, International Soccer was a fantastic game, it really was. Way ahead of its time, way better than any other football game of its time. And Andrew Spencer, who wrote that, went on to write International Basketball, and it's really good. There you go, International Basketball is from Andrew Spencer, author of the sensational bestseller International Soccer. Yeah, I would say it's probably the best basketball game in the C64. Really playable, really, really nice. Scooby-Doo and the Castle Mystery. Now this game, interestingly, never actually got released. I think it did get released, but it was nothing like this. This was hyped beyond belief. It was basically being touted. There you go, the first ever computer cartoon. Now if you look at the graphics, they were really, really nice, but it was previewed, God knows how much, for months and months and months. And I think it just died a death. It never actually came out. Interestingly, the C64 one was actually £1 cheaper than the Amstrad one, so there you go. Right, Fight Night. Yeah, I remember this. I remember thinking this looks really nice, and I don't think it was a game that played particularly well. It had very, very few moves. It looked nice, but compared to my favourite boxing game in the C64, head and shoulders would be above everything else. Would be Barry McGuigan's boxing, and this came along. It looked nice, but wasn't a fan of it. It looked nice, but it had very, very few moves. This is an underrated game. It's a game that you never hear many people talk about. Scarabeus on the C64. It's kind of like if you've ever seen or played 3D Monster Maze on the ZX81. It's kind of like that. Better graphics, but it's got amazing sound, and let's have a look. Sound, yeah, 9 out of 10. What did they say about the sound? There you go. The graphics are good and the sound excellent. You can switch between a music soundtrack and a very realistic heartbeat breathing sound effect, which adds to the already considerable atmosphere of the game. Yeah, Zap 64, they went on and on about the sound. It is amazing. It's probably got some of the best sound effects in any C64 game. Super Zaxxon in the C64. Yeah, good game again. Screwball on the BBC. Another £2.50. Is that 8? 6, 7, 7, 7 and 8. The first of 5 games in the Blue Ribbon Games. I'm saying it looks alright. I mean, it gets decent scores for a £2.50 game. Right, there you go. When it comes to computer games, you can't beat an Amstrad. Ooh, that's a bit controversial. You've enlisted the help of some particularly wicked program designers to put our entertainment software range together. They've come up with over 200 arcade and adventure games, many of them exclusive to Amstrad like those shown above, all of them mind benders you'll find hard to believe. Right, 2 smash hits from Martech. Oh dearie me, I was trying to play Jeff Cape's Strongman. When was I trying to play that? I was trying to play it in a live stream actually on Sunday. Terrible game. Zoids. Let's just move on. Right, now there's a good game. Battleix on the C64. It's a Jeff Minter special. You've got all these kind of mini games. There you go, 6 unique games in one. Really, really nice. I did play it in a live stream a few months ago, but yeah, Tony Takushi, Computer and Video Games. Battleix will knock your socks off with its sheer mega funky urge to surge. I've completely flipped over this game. It's a landmark in my game playing career. Go out and buy this game. Yeah, it is. It's a great game, and typical Jeff Minter. It's as wacky and batshit mental, but you know what? It plays really well and it looks great. Right, okay, there's some... oh, hey! Interestingly, high scores. The Way of the Exploding Fist, yep, okay. Hyper Sports, look at number 2. Andrew Lowe. There we go, that's my mate Sick Boy. 597,829. Excellent, well done Andy. No surprise there. Right, I always like to look at the price of some computers. Atari 130XC 159, the disk drive 170 quid. Atari 800 XL was 234. 130XC 259. So there's only what, £25 of a difference between the 800 XL and the Atari 130XC. And there's a nice little advert for Elite. This boy's a fugitive, this girl is dangerous, this lady's deadly, this man is harmless. Right, why is that not moving down? That's better. Right, okay, the software chart. So this is whenever it is, 1985, December 85. Way of the Exploding Fist, Daley Thompson's Super Test, Frank Bruner's Boxing, Now Games, Summer Games 2, C64, yep, classic. Fairlight, Skyfox, Finders Keepers, Hyper Sports, Beachhead, Action Biker, Nightshade, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Beachhead 2, Barry McGuinn's Boxing, Fighting Warrior, pish game. BMX Racers, oh dearie me. Master Tronic, that's one of the most awful games ever. Formula 1 Grand Prix, Chiller. Yeah, you can see there, this is when budget games started to kind of creep in. Talking of bad games, Friday the 13th, the computer game. If ever, you know, a title, not a title page, if ever an advert made out a game to be way better than it was going to be, that one was. You know, if you're a horror fan, you look at that and go, oh, I can't wait to get the game, and it was terrible, absolutely terrible. Let's see, Amstrad Top 10, Way of the Exploding Fist, Frank Bruno's Boxing, Spectrum Top 10, Daley Thompson's Super Test, Way of the Exploding Fist, Atari, Rescue and Fractalis, Chop Suey, yeah. Right, Beyond, the Bumper Christmas range of challenging software. Yeah, that's a company you don't hear much about. Well, obviously they've disappeared. Enigma Force, that was the sequel to Shadowfire, if I'm not mistaken. Never really got into these games. And then this is the start of the adverts. Secret Diary of Adrian Mole. Ideas Central, what is this? I think this is, yeah, this is all, what do you call it? This is all kind of adventure kind of based. Oh, hang on, no, it's not. I'm talking nonsense. Vic 20. Mario Richard of Rochdale has these pokes of the Vic 20 which will allow you extra lives. So this was cheats. There's Southern Belle there. Don't think, did it ever get released on the C64? I don't think it did. Right, here we go. Here's a tip for summer games. Once again, Idea Core informer Kenneth Henry has written in with tips for his fellow readers. The game to be given the Henry breakdown this time is Summer Games 2 Triple Jump. When you have performed 2 movements for hop and step, don't bother to push left and then quickly forward to simply push the stick up left. Okay. Javelin, hammer the fire button when selecting the angle. Be careful to allow for the little jump the man makes when he throws. If you have a quick shot to switch on the auto fire. Oh, what's the point of that? What's the point of having an auto fire? That's just stupid. And there's the advert for Fairlight. Right, okay, right, this is a competition for Commando. Which game makes Beachhead look like a Sunday school outing? Which arcade game has been causing as much of a stir in the arcades as Space Invaders? Okay, to celebrate the release of their official Commando games on the Spectrum and C64, Elite Software is offering a genuine Capcom Commando arcade machine to the winner of this exclusive C&VG competition. Yeah, I wonder who won that, eh? How awesome would that be? This always, I never quite got the idea of this Sweevo's World. It was a Spectrum, well, it came out in the on the Amstrad as well, and it was like Night Lore. But oddly, they had Stan Laurel as advert. I never really understood that. Didn't get that at all. Yeah. Hey, there's Mr. Toms, Kevin Toms. Kevin Toms of Football Manager fame. Now, if you're a Football Manager fan, the game anyway, that is, go up to my, well, you're obviously watching my channel if you're watching this, go up to the search and do a wee search, Kevin Toms, and you'll find an interview that I did with Kevin. Kevin's a good lad. He didn't just make football games, boffin. I think these were actually pretty good, to be fair. Right, pinball competition. Critical Mass is a god awful game. I hate that so much. We'll take you beyond the Spectrum. Yeah, there was always tons and tons of interfaces for the Spectrum. The one thing that you'll notice in these magazines is there's just a plethora of adverts. Highway Encounter. Oh, that's actually. I was wondering what that was. I thought it was underneath a Spectrum keyboard. That's actually screenshots. Also had a lot of respect for people that actually drew maps. Eye of the Mask, yeah, that was programmed by Sandy White. He of what do you call it? 3D Ant Attack. Oops, set stunty ready. What's that for? Super Silver Range. Ah, that was British Telecom's software range. Most of them were pretty good, to be fair. Kennedy Approach. That is a great game. Loved that so much. You're basically playing the part of an air traffic controller, but what set it apart, it had amazing speech. Really, really good. Yeah, F-15 Strike Eagle, Solo Flight, Megali Ace. Yeah, I mean, these were awesome games. They were all originally from America. There's an advert for Back to School, which is the sequel to School Days. Whoops. Dragged back for another term, Eric continues his one-man fight against the education system. All his old adversaries are there, plus escapees from the biology room, and even worse, girls. Bug Hunters, yeah, this was a comic that they had. They had computer and video games. I've never been into comics, so I just used to kind of gloss past it. There's a nice advert. I mean, some of the adverts, they were really obviously hand drawn. Looks great. What's this? C&VG Games Book. Ah, right, okay, of course. How can we forget? Computer and video games. Yeah, I mean, before you could buy games, they had all these type-ins. And basically what you did is you typed this in, and then you ran it, and then 9 times out of 10 it would crash. But what you should really have done is type it in, save it, and then run it. And 9 times out of 10 they would publish this, and then they would publish a thing the next week saying, or next month saying, by the way, line 90 actually had a mistake. But yeah, this was free games. You typed this in and you got a game for free. For some strange reason, the C64 hardly had any, because I mean the basic of the C64 is quite frankly pants, so I always kind of missed out. It used to always annoy me. You'd get the computer and video games, and there would be games for the the Tandy, games for the Texas TI 994A, games for the Spectrum, BBC, and the C64 very, very rarely had any. But you can imagine this, having to type all this data in, all that, and just for a game. Yeah, not finished yet, plus all that. You can't even imagine a kid doing that nowadays. What is this? Necromancer's Realms. Oh, bloody hell. God. Right, there we go. This is a type-in for the C64. Can you imagine having to physically enter all of that? Wow. Whoa! It's like a telephone directory. That is insane. That is mental. Oh my god. Right, Spectrum, there he goes. The Spectrum never seemed to be have as much. High Rise, is that a Donkey Kong clone possibly? I'm just trying to see actually. After 17 visits to the Pleasure Dome, the novelty was wearing off. That's the problem with most computer games. However thrilling they are at first, eventually you master the tactics and the traction begins to wane. You need a fresh challenge, but with the games costing £8 plus, most of us can't afford to buy new titles every week. This was basically, there you go, Life membership costs only £6 and higher fees start from as little as 60p a game per week. And you can guarantee what they were doing there, eh? More typing, Wizards Lair. Software houses, opportunities in Japan. Ooh. We're looking for the top game manufacturers to convert their titles to the MSX computer. We want to import computer game software finished products only for the Japanese users. We're looking for importer, wholesalers, dealers who are interested in importing stocks of MSX computer games made in Japan to the UK. There you go. Wonder if that's still relevant even now. Miles better software. Canic Road, Canic Staffs. Bargain software. Yeah, it's interesting seeing these type-ins. There you go, there's a VIC-20 one. Wow. 3.5k. You had to have a lot of patience to do that. What is this here? Top games at rock bottom prices. Take up to 5 titles from just 95 pence. Frank Bruno. Oh, I take it that's an introductory offer, and then presumably after that you would then have to pay full price. BC's Quest for Tires, fantastic game, love that game so much. It is quite easy. The fact that I can complete it says it all. Again, there you go, £9.95, £2 dearer. That's a complete rip-off. Thunderbirds. Winter Sports, Electric Dreams. Don't think I've ever played that actually. And Zorro. Zorro was probably, although technically it's not a sequel, it was kind of being touted as the sequel to Bruce Lee. And as much as I did love Bruce Lee back in the day, Zorro just never lived up to it. I mean, it wasn't. Bruce Lee was all kinds of cool, Zorro wasn't. Right, now we're talking, here we go, arcade action. Right, Gauntlet, I'm going to attempt to read this. A band of 4 unusual characters fight for their lives as row upon row of sorcerers, demons and ghosts descend upon them. Split by the fight, they try to rally over here, yells, quest star. Yeah, what does it get? There is so much to learn about the game, the properties of the magic potions, what strategies to employ to defeat the baddies, and the best way to kill the Grim Reaper. The list is endless and only learned with practice. However, absolute beginners can play well and have fun. It's very easy to get into. Well done, Atari. Yeah, as I've said many a time, you know, Gauntlet was, or should I say is, it's a fantastic arcade game. But it's a game that I don't really play at home because the whole point of the game was trying to not die. But when you can just put infinite coins in, it kind of makes it it kind of defeats the purpose of the game. Excuse me. But playing the original with the 4 players was just awesome. Indiana Jones, I was never really a fan of that, but I've kind of actually grown to like it. It's a really, really nice game. Nice graphics. Super, so that was just Hang On actually. Yeah, Hang On. Great game. Had the original, you had to kind of lean. And apparently if you actually managed to keep your feet off the ground, you got more points. You had to kind of just lean as you go around. We make them good. Old Scores, what's that? The Magician's Ball, don't remember that at all. Muggsy's Revenge. Now, Muggsy on the Spectrum was great, I loved that. Never really played it on the C64, but it was kind of like an interactive movie. You know, you didn't really, it wasn't fast paced, but the graphics were excellent. It had some really nice little kind of cutscenes. What's that? This is the only warning you'll get. They're coming, Firebird. What's this here? Dear bug hunters, got a problem, feel needed for a bit of help and assistance, and why not write to the bug hunters at Computer Games, blah 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 blah. Okay, there's an advert for Fight Night. Nice advert, but like I say, it's just, it looks nice, wasn't a fan of it. Harvey Smith, show jumper, he was a famous show jumper. I can't even imagine a show jumping game getting released nowadays. Did have some nice music. There's Yak's Progress. Yeah, it basically was a compilation of Jeff Minter's, old Jeff Minter's back catalogue. Attacking Mutant Camels, Matrix, Laser Zone, Hover Bover, Revenging Mutant Camels, Sheep in Space. Brilliant. And Cipital, really good good collection. What's that? Goonies competition. Want to go and see a really neat movie, want to win a copy of the game of the film, blah blah blah. Right, okay, let's do the quiz. Name the Spielberg TV film which featured an apparently driverless giant truck which terrorised a poor defenceless motorist. Can't even speak. Defenceless motorist. Is that? Oh, blimey! That was one of the films that the Cozer picked out. I can't even remember what it's called. Close Encounters of the Kind. What number fills the gap? Spielberg made a film about a little alien called E.T. who was stranded on Earth. What do the initials stand for? I take it's extraterrestrial. Which nasty creatures terrorise a small American town? That'll be the Gremlins. Which famous American female rock star sings the theme tune to the Goonies film? I have no idea because I've not seen it. Does your computer speak English yet? What is this? English software. What was the name of that driving game that I was trying to remember? Can't remember. God, it's funny how you see something and you just go, I remember that. I remember that advert, really distinctive. Look at the tie. Micronet. Who the hell is this? It may surprise you to learn that many of our most famous pop stars are interested in computers and computer games. So at last, computer games are becoming hip with a little help from the stars of the music business. Wendy Pearson discovers what the average computer-owning rock musician does after a hard day at the studio. Haven't you ever wondered what? That's not Nick Kershaw. Haven't you ever wondered what Nick Kershaw plays with in his bedroom at night? Who's that? I'm trying to see who that is. It's certainly not Nick Kershaw. Don't know who that is. Who would have thought that someone with a name like Rat Scabies would have fun playing with a Dragon 32? Fans of pop group The Damned may be surprised to hear that Rat's favourite pastime is playing the best-selling Chucky Egg on his micro. That is when he isn't collating details of the band's activities and details of their latest releases. What the hell? That's a dog. I was wondering what the hell that was. Oh, Kim Wilde. Oh god, that was, what was the name of that guy? I can't remember. Arthur Sidebottom, I think it was called. Oh, hang on a wee second. We couldn't get hold of the ones who were a spokesman for the band Marillion. Best summed up the situation saying, Mark Kelly, Marillion's keyboard player, has one and he takes it everywhere with him, but nobody knows what it is and we can't find him to find out. Oh, so presumably that must be, he must have a computer. There you go. So who says that playing computer games isn't hip? Souls of Darkon. I always thought that was quite a scary looking picture. The leaps and bounds in technology have radically changed the way music sounds. Mainframe members Murray Monroe and John Malloy give you a guided tour of modern musicians' instruments. World Series Baseball. That was the first game released by the new Imagine label. The funny thing was, all the games apart from this one were based on, well, apart from that and whatever it was called, Comic Bakery, were all based on arcade games. But interestingly, they decided to bring out a non-arcade game as the first one, but actually a really good arcade game, or it's a really good baseball game, I should say. Oh my god, you wonder who they actually paid to draw something like that. Boffin, there you go. Meet Professor Boffin. He's a hairy bloke who's going to beat, batter and baffle your brain in another great computer and video games competition. Right, okay. Starquake there again, another black and white picture. You always, when I think of it, I always think of it as being colour, but it's not. There you go. CompuServe is one of the largest and oldest of the telecommunication networks. Many an adventurer has cut his or her teeth here. One of the advantages of the interactive games on CompuServe is that many sets of them can occur at once. In fact, there are often 5 or 6 different groups playing the same game on the board at one time. Yep, CompuServe was basically, it was the internet back in the 80s. The ultimate games of the C64. Yeah, at last the C64 got to play Sabrewulf and Underworld. Again, if I was going to play them, I'm not a fan of either of them. In fact, yeah, I don't like them at all. If I was going to play them, I would definitely play the Spectrum ones, but they did have nice artwork. Oh god, Imhotep, yeah. Whilst the Spectrum was getting Night Lore, we were getting Imhotep. Beautiful artwork. The game is terrible. Now this was one of the games that I always thought was overrated. Lucasfilms, I should say. Ball Blazer never really got it. Cronus Rift. Again, it's a game that I never, technically it's a masterpiece, but I never really got into it myself. Loved that game, still do. Whoops, ER Kung Fu. Great advert as well. Compilation reviews, he sold 1 million. Mega compilation with 2 Gs. Sparklers special. Tell you one thing, they certainly pack a lot into a single magazine. More Livewire hits from the computer dreamland. All these follies. Yeah, that was an American. That was a US. In fact, they're all US gold games. I can't even pronounce that. Beer Belly Burt's Brew Biz. I actually had that on for the Atari, and I sold it fairly recently. It's a disc. Daley Thompson's Super Test. Never really played it. At all. Summer Games. There you go. What a minute is that? Right, okay, so they're doing a wee mini. So, now what the hell is going on there? Why have they... they're not in-screen game shots, they're like... somebody's drawing these with a pen. Why would you do that? Amazing graphics. Well, if you're going to look at that, you think, oh, they are. That's just like somebody's taking a pen and drawing that. I don't understand why they would do that. Winter Games, at least I've used the screenshots, which is nice. Hypersports, again, Hypersports is a fantastic conversion on the Spectrum and the C64. Never played it in Amstrad. I don't think I have anyway. Walt Disney, Donald Duck Playground, Gyroscope, yep, we've looked at that one earlier on. Computer, don't miss a game. What's it? See a game you'd like in this issue, don't miss out. You can order today from Computer and Video Games. Super new software service, very good. And chances are we're going to have loads and loads of adverts. There we go, microsell. This is actually people just selling stuff. Atari 130XE recorder joystick, invitation to programming, pole position 1-to-1, and 6 issues of Atari user. Value £250, sell the lot for 145. Tony from Luton. Atari 100, Atari computer. Just trying to see if there's any bargains. Coastal, not bad. An Atari 100 XL, tape deck, missile command, Pac-Man, Preppy invitation. Preppy? I don't know what the hell that is. That's what kind of squished there. Cost over £300, under guarantee only £135. Yeah, get yourself a bargain. There's an advert for the Goonies. Like I said, I've never actually seen it. Another cartoon strip. Never really any of these at all. World Series basketball, and I think that there's another one, another Bob Wakelin picture, another classic one. I think that only came out in the Spectrum. I don't know why it never came out in the C64. Hyper Sports again, love that, another Bob Wakelin classic. It really captured the sort of, I don't know, he captured the game perfectly. He captured the whole sort of the dynamic sports, the diving and all that kind of stuff. You know, perfect Bob Wakelin stuff. Right, what the hell is this? Legend. Ridley Scott, the man who terrorised us with Alice. What was that? Alice, Alien, and thrilled us with Blade Runner, is back with a fairy tale of good and evil, light and dark. Sounds a totally new idea, doesn't it? Legend, never seen it yet. The Goonies, Cocoon. I do like Cocoon. Mad Max 3, that was pish. That was the first Mad Max film that I saw. Oh yeah, he's got that horrible looking thing. Jewel of the Nile, Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. Red Sonja, was that? Yeah, I was going to say that was Arnold Schwarzenegger, yeah. The Black Cauldron, Life Force, don't remember that one. Emerald Forest. Time Walker, The Last Starfighter, never actually seen that. Brazil, no. Daryl, look at how god awful. I mean, it's a great game. It's a great Saboteur. Look at how awful that picture is. Dreadful. Knight Rider, just you in a car named Kit. Did Knight Rider actually ever get released? I can't remember. I think it did. Yeah, you got an Atari 1050 disc drive. Only £129. Power without the price. Even an advert for a disc drive, rather than taking a photograph, they got somebody to draw it. Order now or send for a credit application for them. The Ultimate Driving Team. What's that? Grumpy Gumphrey. Who was that by again? Gremlin Graphics. Don't remember that one. Mailbag. Right, I'll read out a couple of letters. I have just bought your latest issue, and having read that letter from Stephen Graham, I have decided to reply. 1. I have found out that your letters page is quite acceptable. It seems to me that Mr. Graham wants a magazine that would give over half its pages to letters, and what would be the point in that? Number 2, no top 10. Gosh, wow, amazing. So it was it missed for 1 month? Maybe there was something more important to go in its place. Number 3, I'm bored with that letter already. Always want to see if I can find somebody that I actually know. Let's see if we can get, here we go. I would like to say something to the arcade owners who own the game Star Force. Do you do regular checks on the joysticks? I find in most cases you put your 20p in this, and what's that, in this the slit, I beg your pardon. Press the one player button, then find the ship will not move in certain directions due to constant use. When a joystick is replaced, I have noticed that it is a 4-way design. The game is totally unplayable, it needs an 8-way design. Ah, interesting. When putting your money into any machine that doesn't work properly, are you entitled to a refund? I would say so. This may sound stupid, but I have put many a 10p in a machine that doesn't work the way it should. Now a message to all software houses, please make a conversion of this wonderful game to the C64. Finally, a tip in the game. Hit as many question marks as possible, as this will gain you an extra ship. Okay, Mr. Gary Jarvis of Catford. And the editor's reply is, nice to hear from an arcade games player. Hopefully the arcade owners will heed your pleas, Gary, and you should be entitled to your money back if the game doesn't work properly. You must be prepared to make a fuss though. Who's going to fuss over 10 pence? Right, Video Vault International Repair Centre, or Repair Service. Commodore 64 now repaired. We only use Sinclair spares. I hope not if you're repairing my C64. There's nobody quicker in the business at prices that cannot be beaten. Video Vault. Special deal for Atari 400, 800. Now hire your first 2 games free from an extensive range of software up to the minute releases. Yeah, this was a thing. You don't get that nowadays, but this was very much a thing back in the day. You could basically hire games. Next month, what have we got? We've got a t-shirt offer. You too could have a body like this. Just send off the coupon below. Blah 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 blah. Right, okay. Sir Fred. Don't remember that. Is that a... Yeah, Microgen. Don't remember that one at all. Space Pilot 2. Ah, yeah, by Analog Software. I liked the original. Wasn't so keen on the second one. They sold 1 million. Great compilation. Decathlon, Beachhead, Jet Set Willy. So I'm saying it's a great compilation. So I'm thinking of a different compilation actually. Nah, it's all right. Daley Thompson's Decathlon and C64's okay. Jet Set Willy. Beachhead, yep, classic game. Staffy Carnath, I wasn't a fan. Saberwolf, no thanks. Adventure Supplement, alright, God, this isn't going to take very long, right? Mailbag, I'm not even going to attempt to read any of these because I was bored. I didn't find them interesting back then, never mind now. The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole. Yeah, Adrian Mole was a programme that it was based on, was it Sue Townsend books, and it was basically this kid, a teenager, who kept a diary, and yeah, it came out in the TV, and it was, you know, it wasn't my cup of tea. It wasn't my cup of tea at all. He was kind of like the 1980s Harry Potter, but he didn't have any magic, and there was no dragons or whatever. So yeah, adventure. Yeah, I mean, if this doesn't make you want to play an adventure game, I don't know what would. What is this from the Penthouse? Quest Probe 3: The Fantastic Four. At least I had graphics, but I was never really. Lord of the Rings, yeah, that was kind of a bit of a piss take. I think it was Lord of the Rings adventure puzzles. What the hell is that? An advert for Silversoft Board of the Rings. Is that Ricky Gervais? Trouble in the Jungle. These are all. There's Justin Lee Collins. I love the glasses. That could only be the 80s. How do you pronounce that? Chops. That Chops, I think it is, in Amstrad. Wizard of Oz. Yeah, never a fan of adventure games at all. I just really couldn't take to them. Even when they became point and click, I couldn't really be bothered. Oh God, I thought that was... God, this wee guy here looks exactly like, is it Richard Darling from Codemasters? I would be convinced that was him actually. Village of the Lost Souls. Why is that upside down? Ah, right, okay, it's clues. And there we have it, the last page of some juicy adventure tips. Blimey, that's an hour. Anyway guys, yeah, listen, I hope you enjoyed listening to me prattle on. If there's a magazine or even a particular edition of a magazine you'd like to see me or listen to me read, just put your comments down below. And as always guys, thank you very much for watching.